Good morning, it's Norma Cowie. It's Sunday and it is a Sunday thought. Yesterday I had to get up really, really early because I had an early wedding an hour away. So I had to get up, get ready, and hit the road to be for this wedding, which was lovely. It was a lovely, delightful little wedding right on the lake. And it was nice. But do you think I slept into the last minute that I had to wake up? No, I woke up really early. So by the time I got back home again, it was still fairly early and I was tired. Luckily, I had a nap, but really, my body just seemed to not really want to wake up at all. It just felt tired. So I just sat a lot outside in my patio where I'm out of the sun, but it's lovely and warm and read and did all these lovely things. Now, sleep is an interesting thing because I find as I've gotten older, my sleep pattern isn't always the best. I tend to sleep maybe 4 hours, wake up. Now, I remember my parents doing this. My dad always, was up at 4 o'clock in the morning making tea and having cookies or something. And I feel it's almost the same thing. And then I have to have a nap in the afternoon. But what happens is that you get tireder. Now, the interesting thing for today, as some of you may know, the Wimbledon tennis final is on, and I've been watching it all week, and it's still on. In fact, they just completed one game of which Alcaraz won. 24 minutes for one game. That's very long. I was hoping they'd have finished a whole set before I came on for 9 o'clock. But it is an interesting time thing when you begin to take a look at your sleep pattern. I could survive on very little sleep for many, many years because I was traveling and different beds and getting up and being late, maybe partying a little bit at times, or at least setting up and talking. But then things began to change. So this, the whole thing about the aging process that hits us. But it was really funny. I had to talk about sleep today because I really just would love to be able to sleep and feel refreshed and bright and ready to go. And my eyes just want to close. So there's no doubt about it. I will have a nap on my agenda for sure today because often I'll lie down and my naps now can last. Usually they used to be about 20 minutes. And now sometimes they can last a good hour. But it's all as it needs to be within the process. And that brings us to a point of acceptance. Brings us to a point of how do we accept the transitions that we go through. Now, I talk about acceptance a lot because it shows up a lot these days in people's readings. Because sometimes to accept the inevitability, the reality, whatever it is that we fight it. We just don't want to accept what it is because the majority of us want things to be the way we want them. This is how we want things to be, so this is how it's supposed to be. Now, that sometimes I think that comes a little bit from the thought patterning that we create our reality, which I do believe, but we create our reality by how we respond to things, not because we get stubborn and don't want to accept what is. But there's a fine line sometimes of how everything all connects and the realization between our philosophy, our spiritual awareness, our sense of belief systems, our own helping. And sometimes I have clients, and I had one recently, and I said, have you done any emotional work? Because I was saying that they needed some emotional work. And it was like it was foreign to them. And I realized later that someone had recommended them to me. And it wasn't that they were just, looking for me to qualify what they really wanted. There was going to be this, that, and the other happening in her life. And I was not saying that. So sometimes it feels like I'm slugging uphill, having people to recognize that by accepting situations and then working but to achieve or to do what you got to do, Like, it's not about fate just dropping everything in your plate, even though I have been very fortunate in having that happen to me. But that's because I knew how to create, and I knew how to ask the questions, and I knew how to what to take things as they came in and assess them. But it's very upsetting for me when I'm having to do readings for people and I feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle. We are comprised of a mental and an emotional state. Now, I know my mind very often when I go to bed, these days, it wants to work. It wants to figure things out. So it's a lot often I don't sleep deep. And other times I can go and I just lie there for like, it seems like 2 minutes and I'm gone and I sleep deep. There's a lot about sleep that you can read about and look at if you have any difficulties with sleeping. I like to think that I manage okay, but today my eyes are tired only because the last 2 nights haven't had actually 3 nights, I haven't had very many hours sleep at one shot. So my napping becomes very, very important. And it reminds me of my parents when they were, they were my age and I visited them. That's exactly what they would do, just sit in their chairs and drift off. It's about recognizing that we do go through transitions of time. Sometimes when I'm working with people, I also talk about their ages and the parts that they're in. And mostly it's received really well because they recognize, and sometimes it's not. They just don't want to accept patterns. They don't want to accept. I remember saying to this one lady, there's no flow in your reading at all. There's nothing here. That it's just a bundle of this, that, and the other. Excuse me. Yeah, and I like to work with flow because that's how life is. We want it flowing. We want it moving. We want to be able to create what we want and see. But that's what happens sometimes. And it's like listening when people reach out, not only just for myself, but for others, and they don't tell you what you want to hear. I know sometimes that my friends have told me things I didn't want to hear. It was like, I don't want to hear that. But the reality is, especially when you're talking to someone that this is their job to help guide you to become more, that listen and take it to heart. And I always say often, because I know I've been fighting with them in a way, not, just kind of verbally to try and have them see why I'm saying what I'm saying. And I just say, I'm sending a recording, so re-listen to it and just lie back and listen to it again. Because sometimes it makes more sense rather than arguing with me in their head all the way through. And do we argue with life? Yes, we do. And very often that's another reason why we do not sleep as well as we should or we like to do. I do want to mention that next Sunday I am traveling, and so there will not be a Sunday Thought next Sunday. There will not be next week. This week we're good, but next week, mental mind treatments, there won't be. And also Norma Talk. So this week, mental mind treatments, Norma Talks, but next week, the other week, beginning the 23rd, I will be unavailable because I'm doing a lot of traveling, road traveling. And so I'm just taking a week off. And I'm looking forward to that too, just being able to go and visit friends and just have a holiday away from the usual. Anyway, I want you to think about your sleep. I want you to think about, are you really resting? Are you sinking into those deeper realms that restore your body or not? Are you dreaming? Are you remembering your dreams? All these things can be very, very important. But most of all, I want you to remember that you're loved and that you are able to create and be exactly who you want to be. So I wish you well, and I will see you tomorrow night for mental mind treatments. Remember, you can email me, text me what you would like a prayer for. And if you want to give me 3 numbers between 1 and 22, that's great too. Wishing you well. See you Monday. See you Wednesday. Bye now.